What's going on, everyone? Nathan here, bringing you a Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary. This video's topic will concern the Mangler for the Soldier. And quick note, I know I haven't uploaded for the past 2 days, but I literally have not been at my computer for 75% of the time of these last couple of days. And now I have a day off from work, so we are going to be playing some Team Fortress 2. And I decided to make a couple of videos, you know, just cause. So yeah, let's move on to the Mangler. So way back in the day on my other channel, O0Brilliant0, when I did my actual first Team Fortress 2 series where I did actual gameplay commentary, called Dusty TF2 actually, I was using the Mangler and I bashed it pretty harshly in my Soldier video simply because I did not use it because at the time it did suck a lot. Now since then, I'm 99% sure it has received some updates, so now it is not as terrible as it was before, and obviously this weapon will probably not overtake the default rocket launcher as the #1 rocket launcher to use as Soldier, but I think it definitely could contest for a #2 spot, simply because there's two things that are really beneficial to this rocket launcher. It's the extra rocket, or the extra, I don't even know what you would call it, being it's an alien weapon, but basically you have 5 shots, which is absolutely huge, and then the second part is that you can disable sentries for 4 seconds. Now, these are not new stats, but I suppose the focus should actually be more on how its cons have been you know, softened a little bit by Valve. I do believe they up the damage a little bit, and also they up the reload speed, and I'll get into all of this in a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty much why this rocket launcher is not that bad. So just as a refresher, I will go over the Mangler stats just to remind everyone, and if you actually haven't seen the stats on this weapon lately, then you might be surprised at how it's not that bad anymore. So first of all, we have the pros on this weapon. Does not require ammo, alt fire a charged shot that mini crits players and disables buildings for 4 seconds. It also has a 5 clip, that's not mentioned in the stats at all, I'm not really sure why. But then for the cons, we have minus 10% damage penalty, no random critical hits, 5% slower reload time, deals only 20% damage to buildings, cannot be crit boosted. So I'm going to just go over these stats kind of briefly on each one just because there's so many. So the fact that it does not require ammo is nice, you know, there's nothing really new there, being the Mangler did have this previously. Your alt fire, I mentioned this in a previous video, that with the Mangler, unless you're disabling a sentry, you should never use your alt fire on this, simply because the mini crits and the burn damage simply are not worth reloading the entire thing, the entire 5 shots, and yeah, that just doesn't do that much damage to be worth the entire reloading the 5 shots and then firing them again, because it's just sort of time efficiency does not balance out. So definitely don't use that alt fire. Minus 10% damage penalty. So this is the huge, or actually let's just go over both of these stats. Minus 10% damage penalty, 5% slower reload time. So these are the two stats that I think have been lessened or softened by Valve, buffed a little bit, whatever your choice of word works. So the minus 10% damage penalty, this, I don't remember exactly what the Mangler was. I think it might have been like 20% damage penalty, but the fact that it's only minus 10% now is really, really nice, because instead of doing, let's say, like 50 damage with the default rocket launcher, you only do 45, and let's face it, 5 damage is not really that much when you're talking about a rocket launcher, the Soldier's primary, that does a lot of damage. So 10% is not a lot. That pretty much amounts to 5 damage from like a distanced, I don't need splash damage, I suppose. A direct hit would be more along the lines of 110 or so. So with the minus 10% there, you're going to be deducted 11 damage. But still, I mean, that's still 11 damage less. And I totally think that the 10% damage penalty is worth it for the extra shot that you do get, being you do get 5 shots with this rocket launcher. Now, moving on to the 5% slower reload time. This is the biggest, well, let me backtrack there. This is one of the bigger stats that is really about this weapon, because if you have 5 shots, reloading is going to be huge to you, and I think before Valve updated this weapon, I think it had a much slower reload time, maybe like 20% or like 15% slower reload time. So now it's actually not that bad. I mean, if we're talking 10% as not that big of a percentage, 5% is absolutely nothing compared to the default rocket launcher. So you are trading possibly, let's just say minus 15% penalty for an extra rocket, which is definitely worth it in my personal opinion. Now, moving on to the other stats, no random critical hits. This is fine if you're playing on a no random crit server. I mean, crits or random crits are nice when you get them, but personally, I think they're bullshit anyway. So I'm fine with no random critical hits. And then deals only 20% damage to buildings. That's completely fine with me. I don't really use it to destroy buildings that much as soldier anyway. I mean, when do I really attack an engineer's buildings? Unless I'm like, well, let's just say this: if I'm facing an engineer's sentry nest, I'm going to be using my alt fire to disable that sentry, so it doesn't really matter that I deal limited damage to buildings, I'll have that alt fire in my pocket anyway. Now, the last con to this weapon is cannot be crit boosted, mispronounce that last word there a little bit. This is completely fine. That just basically means that you can't be crits, or you don't get crits when you win the round. That's completely fine. If a medic is going to crit somebody, I definitely think that they should not crit me anyway, even though I suppose it would be nice if you have 5 shots in your clip and you get crit boosted. That would be nice, granted, but I don't really think a medic would be losing out on that much if he just Ubered, let's say, like a demo man. I mean, if you're going to be Ubering somebody for a sentry nest or just to kill people, pretty much demo men and heavies are your best bets there. So that's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, in summary, I definitely think that 5th rocket is worth it, and yeah, that minus 10% damage penalty doesn't really amount to much, and neither does the 5% slower reload time. So those are really not that big of a deal, but I do think that 5th rocket is definitely good, and I would certainly urge you guys to try this weapon out for yourselves, maybe report back, and just tell me, you know, is it as good as I've been using it, or, I mean, I don't know, personally, I just have been liking it lately, so I don't know if that's with anybody else, but yeah, it's just been really good lately. I've been getting more kills with it, and that 5th rocket always comes in handy. You know, having one more extension to your magazine is never a bad thing. So that will wrap up this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a rating. I would appreciate that as well. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe for Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentaries. I know as of now on my channel, I don't have a lot of videos out, but if you're new to my channel, you might not know that I do have an older channel where I have at least 150 Team Fortress 2 videos under my belt already, so I got quite a bit of experience in that area, and yeah, once again, feel free to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.